Hey guys, welcome back to Chaos Core Tech. My name's Garrett, and today we're going to be making some Pokemon. Kind of. So if you've known me for any amount of time, you know that I love Pokemon. I've been playing the Pokemon game since I was 7 years old. I got Pokemon Red shortly after it came out, and I got Blue shortly after that. And it's crazy to think that that was over 20 years ago. But you may be thinking to yourself, Garrett, that's great, but I don't recognize any of these Pokemon. And you'd be right, these are fake Pokemon. Which, if you've ever looked up Pokemon on the internet, you know fake Pokemon are everywhere. And there are some really cool designs out there. But these are very specific fake Pokemon. These come from a video series that I love here on YouTube. The channel is called Mr. Buddy. There's a link down in the description. You should go check him out if you're into Pokemon. You won't be disappointed. So, Mr. Buddy does these videos on his channel. They're basically called What If Blank Was a Pokemon Region, and he explores a lot of different possibilities. He's done What If Greece was a Pokemon region, Australia, the UK, and even more than that. They are extremely detailed videos that go into the various aspects of what it would be like if a Pokemon game was based on the region he's exploring. He does a ton of research for these videos, and they're very fun to watch. And these fake Pokemon that I'm making today are the 3 starter Pokemon from the regional video he's currently working on at the time of recording this, and that is What If Scandinavia Was a Pokemon Region. So let's back up a bit. You may be asking why I care if these aren't even real Pokemon or regions in the Pokemon games. Well, to answer that, I have to explain what I love about Pokemon. So, like many people, my favorite times as a Pokemon player are when they're releasing a new Pokemon game. Full of new Pokemon, and I'm saying Pokemon a lot, sorry about that. It's exciting to see what they come up with, and my favorite part of that is seeing the new Pokemon. And planning the new teams I'll be able to create and how I want to go about building those teams. Don't even get me started on learning about the evolutions. It's just a purely fun experience discovering all of the new stuff. And his videos are able to give that sort of feeling. Even if it's not real, it's fun to explore the possibilities and see what he comes up with. And the Scandinavia video is the first time he's including what the starter Pokemon would be for that region, and I'm super excited. If you've played Pokemon, you know what a big deal the starter Pokemon are. They're the first Pokemon you get, and you always get to choose between a fire, a water, or a grass type Pokemon. And these are usually the Pokemon I base my entire team around. In back of the days in Red and Blue, I actually used to use a friend's Game Boy so I could trade with myself and get all 3 of the starter Pokemon on my team. And the starters always have 3 evolution stages, so it's always a successful feeling when you can evolve your starter into its final form. So I'm not going to go too far into what each of these starters are because he'll go over that in his video, which I'll put a link to that down in the description once the video has been released, so you should definitely go watch it and learn about these 3. So I'm just going to give you their names. The fire starter is named Foomber, the water is named Gogliss, and the grass one is named Lavendor. I hope I'm pronouncing those correctly. I think my favorite out of this bunch is Lavendor. Let me know what your guys' favorites are down in the comments. Typically in the DS and the Game Boy games, I usually pick the fire starters. I'm not a fire fanboy, but I usually like their designs the best. In Generation 1, I always stuck with my boy Charmander, of course. Squirtle was always a close second, though. In Generation 2, Cyndaquil is my choice. Gen 3, I actually strayed and picked Mudkip, because, I mean, look at Mudkip. Look at it! Then in Gen 4, I actually stuck with the water starter and chose Piplup for similar reasons. Gen 5, I went back and chose Tepig, even though I didn't like his final form very much. In Gen 6, I chose Fennekin because it's frickin' adorable and looks shockingly like my dog Eevee. Then in Gen 7, I picked Litten, unfortunately. So after Gen 4, I decided I wasn't going to spoil myself with Pokemon when new games come out. So they almost always release pictures of the starters in their base forms first. So once I see those, I don't look at Pokemon news until the games come out so I can have a completely new and unspoiled experience. It's really fun, but it backfired with Litten. Litten is extremely cute, being a fiery cat, but then it evolves into a professional wrestler? Seriously? So I was not very happy about that. Had I known, I probably would have picked Rowlet instead. So needless to say, I am too obsessed with Pokemon, and I use the words cute and adorable way more than a grown-ass man my age should, but oh well. I don't care because I love them and I probably always will. Let me know if you're in a similar boat. Well, anywho, let me talk for just a bit about how I made these. So after Mr. Buddy released the pictures for these 3 over on his Twitter account, I knew that I had to make these because I love the designs of them. And by the way, he doesn't draw them himself. I believe he commissions artists, but I could be wrong about that. Make sure you go to his video and because I know he'll credit the artists, and as soon as he does that, I will put the same info in my description so I can give proper credit to the people who actually drew these. So to create the 3D models, I went over to ZBrush, and on all three of them I pretty much started with Z-spheres to block out the main shapes. And that's just a really easy way to give you a base that you can sculpt on and get the correct shape and details. So from there I used the move brush and just started pushing and pulling in areas until I had them the correct shape that I wanted them to be in the end. Then after I had the main shape, I went around and started adding the little details. It was mostly just adding some claws, a couple face details, and adding some stripes here and there by masking off an area and extracting it. Then after the 3D model was done and I had prepared it for printing, I sent it over to my CR10 and printed it using Polysmooth PLA. And now that's very specific filament, and I'll get into that in just a second. But I printed these at a 0.1mm layer height just to get a little bit of extra detail out of them and make sure that the layer lines weren't too intrusive. Of course, these require a lot of support, and getting the support off of them can be quite of a challenge. I think I actually broke off one of the legs in the process of doing that. I believe it was Lavendor. But luckily Chelsea was able to save him with a little bit of glue. Now each of these took roughly 10 to 15 hours to print. And then after they were done printing and we removed all of the supports and Chelsea glued the legs back together, we stuck it into the Polysher. And now this is where the specific filament comes into play. Now I'm sure a lot of you know about this, but if you don't, you can use the Polysher with this Polysmooth filament to smooth out the print. And it actually does a really good job at removing the layer lines. Now you have to be careful and you don't want to overdo it because you can lose some of the small details. But for the most part, it does an amazing job, and it saved Chelsea a ton of sanding time. In fact, I'm going to show a little clip here right before Chelsea primed them. She took a little video showing what they look like, and this is just off of the printer and into the Polysher. There's been no paint and no other finishing work aside from removing supports. And that's pretty remarkable and can save a ton of time. It's kind of become our go-to. And I will be posting a full review of the Polysher and showing kind of what it can do in the next few weeks. So if you're interested in that, make sure you stick around. It should be coming soon. Then of course I handed them off to Chelsea and she did her magic. She used an airbrush to paint on the main color for each of these, and then she went in with the paintbrush and normal acrylic paints to paint on all of the details and make them look exactly like the picture. She seriously does such an amazing job with the colors on these things. And then of course to finish it all up, she sprayed them with a glossy clear coat to help protect the paint a bit and give them just a little bit of a shine. And if you're interested in any of the supplies Chelsea uses to create these things, check down in the description. We have a lot of them down there. And if you don't see something down there, leave a comment and we'll try to answer it as best we can. Well, I hope you like these little guys. I have contacted Mr. Buddy and I will be sending these out to him. So Mr. Buddy, if you're watching, I hope you like them, and thanks for letting me be a part of this in a small way. Alright guys, well there you have it. These are the Mr. Buddy starters, and like I said earlier, names Foomber for the fire one, Gogliss for the water one, and Lavendor. So I hope you guys liked these, and I do plan on doing some more Pokemon stuff, some real Pokemon in the future. I'm making some plans for that, and I'm hoping to get a better printer to start doing some of those, so that's kind of why I've been holding off. But I do plan on doing more Pokemon, hopefully in the near future. Alright guys, well thank you for watching. Make sure you go check out Mr. Buddy's channel, and if you like this, make sure you like and get subscribed below. We also have a Patreon. I will put a link down in the description, so if you like what we do and want to help us create more, that is a great way of doing it. Alright guys, well thank you for watching, and until next time, keep creating.